Hey everyone, welcome to our presentation for Story Metaphor for Organisations. I'm Jack.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Tom.
I'm Mira.
And I'm Hannah.
Enjoy.
In a story, there is typically a dialogue spread throughout chapters, filled with drama, suspense, a challenge, and a happy ending. There is a hero, as well as characters who look at this hero as an inspiration. Similar to the Wellington Shoebox interview, the Callaghan Institute interview, Tonya Wilson is seen as a hero, not only to the Callaghan Institute, but to her customers. Tonya has been through many life chapters in order to gain a substantial amount of life experience. The life experience that Tonya has gained has led her to the position she is in today. Tonya has spent only 5 months at the Callaghan Institute, and before this she completed 5 degrees, owned her own IT company, created a framework for the New Zealand Post Track and Trace, played professional sport for New Zealand, had children, and worked for the Māori development. Tonya's had a fascinating life story. Tonya now works for the Callaghan Institute as the Business Relationship Manager. With this, she works with over 126 customers to help them become innovative and contribute positively to New Zealand's GDP. Tonya works on developing new companies in order to maximise what our country has. The purpose of this job is to help other people grow their dreams. By helping one person, it will mean that they can help another. This has had a huge impact on the lives of others by improving their lives and taking their business off the ground. This was not the only hero act that Tonya has done for others. When she sold her IT company for $1.8 million, she used this money to help her siblings pay for university. Her first thoughts with this money was, what could I do to better the community? During the interview, Tonya talks about how Callaghan Institute doesn't tell the story of their organisation very well, meaning that many people don't understand the benefit of their organisation. And maybe if more people understood, they would gain a lot more recognition. This is what inspired our story metaphor, as it shows how important it is for organisations to tell people their story and how they create a benefit to society. With a story, there is always a challenge. Tonya has failed many times throughout her life, but has not let these failures stop her and has worked hard to create a happy ending and become the hero she is today.
Having a passion for something can truly drive an individual for bettering the world around them. For Pera Barrett, this was no exception. Pera has worked at BNZ for 14 years and has recently started the initiative of Shoebox Christmas. The Shoebox Christmas gives children from low decile schools Christmas presents who may not necessarily receive a present. The initiative was started in 2014 with one school, but is now extended to 35 schools across the Wellington region, affecting almost 5,000 children. This was not a new idea, as Shoebox Christmas has already been used in third world countries. Pera began to get an understanding and appreciation of the Shoebox Christmas through his work. By making a connection with a few of the teachers and children, he began to gain an understanding of the problem. By finding a solution that already existed, it allowed him to simply adopt the system into Wellington schooling. Pera takes great inspiration for life after a car accident he had when he was younger, that he was lucky to survive. He appreciates that things in life happen for a reason, and that he was unlucky for it to happen to him, but still appreciates how fortunate he was to walk away with his life. This passion for life gives him an appreciation for others' happiness, hence the initiative began. This helped give our group an early introduction into our story metaphor. All stories start with a problem, which needs to be overcome to find the wanted outcome. Pera Barrett had his life problem with his crash, with no guarantee that he would live. After the incident, he started Shoebox Christmas in Wellington, which has already helped thousands of children. This is the epitome of a feel-good story, and one that helped give our group a direction for our story metaphor. For many children in Pera's Shoebox program, they have never experienced the proper Christmas, with presents and the whole family around them. Growing up with the expectation of not feeling wanted on a day that is meant to bring people together is a sad reality for many children, even here in New Zealand. Shoebox Christmas strives to fix this and essentially give children across the world their very own happy ending.
The story metaphor for organizations has strong links to at least 3 of the metaphors explored by Morgan: the culture, psychic prison, and political system metaphors. Within organizations, stories can be powerful carriers of messages and emotion. Essentially, they're the ultimate metaphors, so they have a key role in shaping or even defining organizational culture. For example, Para Barrett uses the story of his accident and its life-changing consequences to inspire himself and his volunteers at Shoebox. His life story is used to carry his message of wanting to make a positive difference in the lives of others while he still can. Stories are effective at shaping culture because they arise naturally and often collaboratively, so they're owned by the employees. They are symbolic in meaning, which makes them both memorable and capable of sharing complex organizational knowledge, and they're moving. They connect to emotions rather than logic. In this way, they're also powerful tools used in organizational politics and by politicians to sway the opinions and interests of listeners. Controlling the narrative of events and situations can help leaders and politicians influence the way people perceive these events and then the actions they take as a result. Stories are also strongly connected to theories and concepts in the psychic prison metaphor. Even as stories help people make sense of their organization, the power and repetition of narrative threads can lock people into looking at their organization or their colleagues in a certain way. Carl Jung, in his work on the collective unconscious, pointed out that human beings tend toward common narrative threads. The hero and the villain, the star-crossed lover, fear of uncertainty, and death. Organizations and individuals in organizations also follow common narratives. The hero leader is a really frequent archetype, as is thinking of competitors or difficult managers as the enemy.
Once our group had found the perfect metaphor to relate to the Shoebox Christmas Initiative and the Callahan Institute, we had to investigate whether our new metaphor would relate just as well when applied to any organisation. To do this, we looked into techniques that are successful for storytelling and how they relate to successful business techniques. One of the most important tips for aspiring authors is to create a good story structure, and any organisation should do the same with creating a good business structure. To tell a good story, a storyteller should jump right into the action to entice the reader into wanting more. By a similar note, most of the best organizations started by identifying a problem within their target market and developed a product or service to satisfy that problem as quickly as they can. If you take too long to develop a story or a business, people will lose interest and it will not be as successful. We believe the story metaphor is successful to relating to all organizations because it's not relevant to a certain product or service, but it's something being created from good ideas. A story could be about anything, from a hungry caterpillar to a preteen wizard, and a good business could be anything from making burgers to selling insurance. The creation of a good business and a good story share so many similarities that we see the story metaphor as a natural fit to apply to organizations in general.
Hello everyone, I'm Ning. I'm going to talk about stories as organizations. In this metaphor, there are certain limitations. Stories are supposedly to be inspiring and attractive to the audience. However, stories conceal the truth or the dark side and reality. For instance, it conceals the exact experience of how Callahan and Shoebox run the organization. In addition, they do not tell us the details, how they overcome the problems and what consequences do they have to bear. Stories are just the tip of an iceberg of the organization that create an attractive image to the audience that help them attract potential employees and motivate them with it. We were not able to experience what Tonya and Pira has experienced to get to where they are right now, because most of the time the experience they face are more intense and we might not be able to understand why do they do certain decisions and why do they choose to do that. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, guys! We hope our novel metaphor has convinced you to look at organizations in a new way. Bye! Yeah.
Supposed to be mirror.
Sorry, Chris.
Hey everyone.
I'm sorry.
And I'm trying so hard not to laugh every single time.
Oh my god.
Hey everyone. Welcome to our presentation on story. Hey everyone. Welcome to our presentation on story metaphor for organization.
Sorry. I'm so cool that was going to be it.
Oh.